Right, so I've given you all the measurements for these and they're on the website, so you can easily find the measurements. So you start off with your basic card base, whichever colour you want, and then all you're doing, form your card base in the usual way, width of A4. This length is 14.8 centimetres and you score at 10.5. And then you're just going to chop off 5 centimetres at the front. So that's your card base. Then you've got your insert piece, which you're going to stick in a bit, but don't stick it in first. And then your insert that you're going to stamp. So I'm going to match the card there. I'm going to just stamp this. So a little bit of old olive, and I'm going to stamp it. So I've got it in each corner. That's going to show, because when you've got the flap coming across, you don't want it to block too much of what you're seeing there. But it does mean that your sentiment you can put across the whole card, because you won't see it, it'll be behind the flap until you open it. So I have all these ready, and then for some reason I managed to, which one shall I use? I quite like this one. I'm going to use this one again. I'm going to use this one, which is the, let's find something to put it on. There we go. And I'll do that in as well in the old olive. So may the magic and wonder bloom this holiday. So there is our insert. So once you've done this bit, it is important to then put this together with your flap piece, because your flap is actually going to stick behind here. So your flap card piece, again, I've given you the measurements, and there's a crease 1/2 inch bigger one way, and there's a crease down one side, which you're then going to fold, and really use your bone folder so you've got a nice firm crease in that. So I'm going to just stick all of this together quickly. A quick bit of Tombow around there, and then line that up. So we put that on there, and then the important thing is to fix this flap. So on the inside of the flap and just on the flap bit, you want to put a decent amount of Tombow without getting too close to the fold edge. And then you want to put it somewhere in the middle. So that is my insert is 14.5, my gold bit. So half of that is 7 1/4. So that's about the middle. So I'm going to put that, I'm going to eyeball it a little bit, make sure it's about in the middle, then press that down. And it works much, much better, this card, if you stick the flap to the reverse of your insert layer than it does if you try and stick it to your main base card. How do I know that that's better? You can guess, because I've made the mistake. So definitely do it this way, and then you can stick this whole thing in. That's some decent glue on there. Use tape if you want instead of Tombow. I'm using Tombow for speed more than anything, to be honest. And then you can stick that in. So that's the base of your card made, and that's your flap. And you can see from the colour down the side how it makes it works a lot better. So that's the way to put the card together, and then it's just a matter of doing all the rest of the layers. So I have my layer. Oh no, it's not a layer for that. Those, oh, I've just got bits for that. That's no good. I've got those are to do my thing. That's right. So I've got my layers. Oops, got all my bits here. So I've got my layers for the front here. So I just need to stick those together. And this is again one of the retired it's the retired DSP that went with the set when it first came out. And I'm so upset it's not still available. That looks like I haven't quite cut that the right size, actually, interestingly. Always check your measurements, folks, but I'm not going to recut it now. It will do. It just means I've got a slightly bigger gap top and bottom than I have to each side. That's okay. And that goes on the flap like that. So that's my flap bit. And then we do the same for the side piece here. get on with this because I want to talk about how we put the flower together to make it look decent. You could just stick it, but there's a couple of techniques I want to show you to help curl flowers and make them look nice. And this, of course, I'm doing this with the Poinsettia Petals. Try and get that straight. Poinsettia Petals dies, but you can do it with any decent flower size, anything that's a similar size of flower. There's some of the Rose Wonder set, or some of the others you could do it with. Same sort of card. Use these ideas to make your own cards with your own sets, obviously. Although if you want to buy the Poinsettia Petal set, please do. So that's the card basically. And now we just have to decorate it with all the stamps. Now the holder bit, that's why I've got these to do it. I actually used a punch, but you can use a little tiny circle die to do it if you want. But I'm going to show you first how to put the flower together. So these I haven't stamped them. These are just cut out using the dies. And you can see it's got a lovely sort of embossed bit. So I'm going to stick them together just in the center. No, I'm not. I'm going to show you the first way of curling the leaves. So one way to curl the leaves is to use your bone folder and just very gently go under each leaf. And I'll show you both ways on this because you can use both ways of shaping flowers because it works really well. So just gently, obviously don't pull too hard or you'll pull the leaves off the center because they're fairly thin at the edges. So just very gently, and it just gives that, oh, hang on, try and get, you can see the bit of shape on those. So then we can stick those together. I'll have a little bit of glue in there, and I just offset them so that they sit between each other. That's the first one. Oh, sticking to my. Now, a little note for the cards I made, these ones, this very shiny card, especially this metallic cardstock, this took quite a long time to stick. So just make sure it's all stuck nicely before you move on with things. But for ordinary card like this, it'll stick really well. So I'm just going to hold that there. And then I've cut out one of the centers. There's two. There's one that's just got these embossed dots in it, which is the one I've used most. Or you could use a large pearl in the center, or you could use both, which I've done on one of the other cards. On this card, I actually used the cutout thing from gold foil, and then I put one of the gold faceted gems on top. One of these, which I've also used on the cards elsewhere as well. So I'm just going to put that middle in there and hold it down just to make sure it's stuck. It'll stick quite quickly, this one. There we go. So you can see that's got a little bit of shape there, and I can encourage it to have more shape by simply working the petals, which I'll do once I've stuck it down on the card, to be honest. But the second way to shape, which is actually even quicker, is to use something with a round end. This is actually one of the tonic tools from years ago, but it's a really nice big sort of round shape, and if you put it in the palm of your hand and just press in the center of the flower, can you see how it brings all the leaves up? So that's a really quick and easy way to shape, and you can actually do both, because now I've got a slight curl on the end of the leaf from working it with the bone folder, and I've got a nice depression in the center. So that's how I shape the flower, because I do like the flowers to have some sort of decent shape, which is nice. And that's going to go on the front, and then I've just got to work out where I actually want it. So blob of glue in the middle. Put that on. Oh, I'm going to have it there, I think. Again, I'm just holding that down in the center so the leaves are still moving and I've got plenty of shape, but it'll be held firmly to the card by the glue in the center. And then I can add these. You can actually just slide them behind and they'll stick to the glue underneath, but I like to just make sure they're stuck, and I'm doing it using just the tiniest bit of Tombow in just a couple of the lower leaves and perhaps the stem, and that will just keep it stuck in place. So I'm going to have one. I might have one. Just because I've twisted it around that way, I don't know which way to put these now. I think I'll have them both near the bottom. So that one can go in there. This one can go the other side. come around here. So I'm just get it under the leaves. There we go. Oop. There. So that is the card, and all we need now is the thing to stick it together. So you can use just small dies. I actually used punches, and I forgot to get them out as well. So excuse me, just reaching over to get those. So never remember which of these is still actually working on. Now, the one thing about this set is there's no sentiment that's small enough to go on here. So these ones, that one is actually from, I think it's from the Penguin set, can't remember now. And this one is from the Wise Men's set, Wise Tidings or whatever it's called. So I haven't got that ready either, so I just need to go and reach that. Not very organised today, am I? Oh, it's not from that set. Okay. I lied. Joy to the World is actually from the Stars Are Shining set. So that's the one I'm going to use today. So the Very Merry is actually from the Sweet Little Stockings set. So, but whatever small sentiment you've got will do. So I'm going to use that one. I'm going to use my green again. Keep with my colour scheme. So I've used Very Vanilla, by the way, instead of white, because I think it goes with the green as well. And obviously the paper's got the vanilla in it. So that was sensible. Oh, is that going in here? Good job you can't see the rest of the desk. I can see bits of it as they all fall down. So stamp that. Always stamp a sentiment first. It's much harder to get it straight if you've actually punched the punch first. So punch that first, and then this is the 1 1/4 inch punch. Yeah. But you can use a circle die or cut it out yourself or whatever. And then I want a background of a slightly bigger punch, and that's why this works so well. 1 1/2. This one's 1 3/8. No, 1 1/4 and 1 3/8. Oh, nearly tried to escape. So it's just very slightly bigger, which is exactly what I want. So I'm going to stick those together. Get rid of this. I don't need this anymore. So that, make sure it's properly on. There we go, in the center, which is good. Mark there, which I'll just rub off. I find it difficult to get that off. That'll do. There. So now we stick it on. So it needs to go on just so that, because you don't want to make it awkward to tuck the flap underneath. So it goes right up in this corner, and you want to put a dimensional at this top side of it. So on here on the back. So top right corner on the back. Lost my dimensionals. So I need to have the dimensional there, not in the middle, because I want to make sure there's plenty of movement to allow it to hook around the card itself. So I can now stick that on, making sure it just covers the tip of that. Trying to get it straight, which should always be better. So there we are. And there's the card with the flap just clicking around there. So just bend it slightly to get it back in again. And that is a fun fold flap card. Enjoy.